Life growing up was rough. I grew up with parents that were alcoholics. There was a lot of physical abuse, a lot of emotional abuse. It was very hard to kind of pick out good memories of all that chaos that was going on. When I was 15, I ended up leaving home, and I never went back home. I ended up staying with my boyfriend at the time. I got pregnant twice, had my two baby boys, but I never went back home. I turned to drugs after that relationship. I was very torn apart. I was turning to just wanting the comfort and the love that I didn't get from my father. And I was seeking all that in, different relationships, different men, trying to fill the void for a very, very long time. I was a very lost person. I was homeless. I was living a homeless life. I didn't have nowhere to go. Every door was shut in my face. I didn't understand what was going on then. I felt like I wasn't loved. I was in the streets of Phoenix with Clarissa and Nicholas behind a wagon on a bike. And it was just hard. It was very hard. Their dad was very abusive, very physically abusive, emotionally, every type of abuse you can think of. Someone out there that's homeless, like all these questions arise, like I wonder how that happened, or I wonder why they can't, get a home, or why they ended up in the situations, right? God started speaking to me when I was already way in several rehabs. I didn't know that He was trying to pull me out of the situation that I was in, because I was just, too busy chasing the drugs and too busy just wanting to get high. It was when I lost my children to CPS. It was then when God really started speaking and showing me, because I wasn't really like listening to His voice at the time, because I didn't have a relationship with Jesus at that time. But I knew that He was in the midst of it, because people would go looking for me, inviting me to church. I started blaming my dad for a lot of it, how I grew up and the environment. And it was until I decided to go to rehab. My kids were already with CPS. I decided to go to rehab. I turned myself into my probation officer, because I was on probation at the time. And I sat in that lobby for a very long time when I told her that I was either going to end up dead somewhere or behind bars if she didn't find me somewhere where I can go and get the help that I needed. She finally came out and told me that she found a program for 7 months. I didn't want to go that long. I just wanted to go short term. And I cried, and I had to buckle up. It was either that or they were getting ready to sever my rights for my kids. 6 months in that program that I went to, we get a call from CPS and telling me that they're gonna reunify me with my children. And I still tried to go around it for them to keep them a little longer, because I felt like I wasn't ready to be alone. For all those years that I was using drugs, I didn't mother my kids. I was too busy chasing what I wanted to chase. I didn't know how to be a mom. And it was scary for me, because I was clean and sober, working on myself. I felt like I wasn't done yet. I still needed more work done. And they sat me down and they told me straight out, like, hey, you can't run from this. Those are your children, and it's time for you to be that mom. So I saved up. I was able to get a job. I would literally walk because there's no buses. I would literally walk through a canal, like a dried up Tanque Verde canal up in Tucson at 3 o'clock in the morning, just so I can be at work at 5 a.m. It was a lot of chaotic things going on with my children because they saw a lot. In that journey of me moving out into my own apartment, I was able to save up money. I had a few relapses along the way. I got into a relationship. Again, I was kind of like, started going to church, but not really fully in. Got into a relationship. I became pregnant again. In my mind, I was like, you know what? I have 6 kids already. What am I going to do with the 7th kid? This relationship, he's gone out of the picture. Like a lot of stuff just started like running through my mind. Like I'm not going to be able to do it. I can barely handle these kids. Like just a lot started going on to where I ended up having an abortion. And that was probably the toughest thing that I had to go through in my walk of sobriety, because it took me deeper to a place where I don't want to be at anymore. It took me back to a place where I felt I was free of, and I got dragged back in. I didn't know how to cope with the aftermath of depression. Just laying in that bed, regretting the fact that I had done something like that, because I always said, and I was always that one person to say that I will never do it. It was then when I started building my relationship slowly with Jesus that I started learning how to love myself, how to love my own children. That's one thing that I learned, is that if I don't have love for myself, I can't have love for anyone else. And there was a lot of things that I had to learn that I didn't know myself, because it wasn't given to me. I have been clean and sober, off of drugs, everything, for almost going on 13 years. Being a single mom for a very long time, I'm talking about like a very, very long time, doing it on my own, going to work, 2 jobs at a time sometimes, and coming home, finding not my kids at home, looking for them, trying to figure out where they're at. It's been a lot better because I have chosen not to go back. I have really chosen to stay on the path that I'm on, and I have been, no matter what comes my way. When I moved back from Tucson, I moved back over here, and it was at Iglesia del Valle in Eloy, where I started. I feel like that was like the time where I was really, really grounded, that I will not be moved, that I will not be shaken. Because for me, being grounded is like you're standing on firm foundation. It's my firm foundation. God provided the strength for us to endure, and that's amazing how God does that. He gives us the strength to endure, and I've endured all right. And, here I am, gonna be married. We love each other. I love my children, I'm not saying my life is perfect, because it's never gonna be perfect. But the perfect is He who lives in us, right?